viewers, I'm here today with another episode of Tag Time. Today, the person I'm going to tag to you, you will really love to know. He is a very groomed politician with a very big resume of service with conservatives, and he is the one who have set an example that this tremendous country has so much to give, so much to offer, if you are the person who's passionate enough to put yourself into it and own this room for yourself. I'm talking about our very brilliant Member of Parliament, Mr. Joe Daniel. He's from Kerala. Welcome, Joe Daniel, to our program.
Thank you.
How would you like to take us to your personal journey of your birth till you ended up in Canada?
Very good. It's quite an interesting story, and I consider myself to be a true Canadian because of that. My parents emigrated or went to East Africa after World War II, and I was actually born in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And one of the funny quirks about doing that was the fact that the British insisted my parents take British citizenship. So I'm actually born British in East Africa.
Great.
But my family comes from Kerala in South India. Some of your viewers may not know, but Kerala is a very interesting place. Education is a high priority there. There's nearly 100% literacy for both men and women, and they tend to be very professional people. And they are worldwide. I don't think you'd find one hospital around the world that doesn't have a Keralite nurse or doctor or technician or somebody. We're well traveled as well because of that.
So you have told us about your multiple nationality, which is tremendous because the world we are living in is a global world. So you're a global citizen, basically. So how would you like to take us to your educational background?
Sure.
What is your educational background?
Right. So there was one thing that my father did to me when I was quite young, probably in my 9 or 10 year olds. He sat me down and said, "When I die, you're not going to get 1 cent." To which I was in shock because we came from he'd done very well in business and construction, etc. But he said he would give us a good education, and after that it was up to us. And that's what he did with all of us children, and we've all been very, very successful. My youngest brother is a doctor and a surgeon up in Ottawa. My next youngest brother in Windsor is the CEO of a software company. And me, I've been able to become a Member of Parliament. But my education started in Tanzania. We were multilingual. I spoke Malayalam, Swahili, and English.
Oh, wow.
And then I went to India as a 10-year-old, and I studied in Uti at a missionary school. So if you're wondering where I got my English accent, it was at this missionary school where most of the kids were English.
No wonder, no wonder, no wonder.
From there I went to England, completed my A-levels, completed my undergrad degree in telecommunications engineering, and I worked for Westland Helicopters as a systems engineer, integrating systems. And my connection to India was, it was my team that integrated the systems for the Mark 42B Sea-King that India now flies.
Oh, wow.
So there is a little connection in that respect. But we were selling helicopters to the Canadian military, we, the company was. And so in 1987, I was chosen to come as part of the team here to make that happen.
So how did you pick up from such a promising career to become a politician? What were the reasons which provoked you to be a politician, then to be into such a tremendous profession?
It's a bit of a funny story, but let me tell you that, and I'll try and be brief as possible. But I always had an opinion about everything. And when I was with my friends, I was always telling them what I would do if I was in government. Finally, they got fed up and said, "Look, stand up or shut up. We've had enough of you just talking about it. Go do something." And so that's what I did. I looked around, and the Conservative Party reflected my personal views of family values, of smaller government, less interference from the government in our lives as possible, all those things. And so I chose the Conservative Party. In 1985, I joined the party, got on the board, became an active member. I was actually the campaign manager for the previous person that ran in Don Valley East, where I lived. And so that kind of led to me running for the nomination, winning the nomination, and winning the riding which had been liberal for some 20 plus years. So I did something right.
Of course.
And it was a bit of a shock to actually
you
win.
did a lot of right things. That's why
Right.
we are so, you are the kind of person which should be inspiration for so many people to see that you cannot expect that, oh my God, this is going to be 100% this way.
Right.
There is going to be a challenge in your life, but
Right.
you have to make right decisions.
Right.
So now I have seen different things on your resume while you're going
Right.
through different type of things. So you have worked with human resource, transportation, youth connection,
Right.
and a lot of things. So how would you take us to the journey
Sure.
of your political career and your contributions?
So one of the things when I analyzed my writing was that it was a majority of immigrants. And the key problem that I faced when I came here was getting my qualifications recognized. Even though I did my bachelor's degree in England, I still had to go through this process as if I knew nothing, right?
Of course.
And
And
and I think all the immigrants face that.
This is our dilemma, and we
Right.
lose a lot of brain because of that.
Right. And there is a funny mentality in industry here where I can't employ you unless you have Canadian experience. But how are you going to get Canadian experience if you can't be employed?
Sure.
Right. So there's a kind of a little circle there that
I'm in the same boat with you because
Right.
I have all this experience and I was like, I really used to be so angry about it
Right.
till I realized that there are certain.
Yeah. So the important thing is to be determined, right? Make sure that you pursue what you're after and what you're interested in. For me, it was a dream to get into politics. I never thought I would get into politics, but it was kind of in the back of my mind from when I was quite young. And so, the opportunity was taken as a challenge to see if I can actually do it. And
you're doing great.
I did it first time.
Oh,
Many
wow.
people run 2 or 3 times before they can get in, but I was able to achieve it the first time I tried.
So, since you have a very good idea about the governmental issues right now, whatever is happening, and you have groomed yourself into it,
Right.
and you have learned a lot. So I would like to know the defense and economic challenges simultaneously in our society right now, because we are living into a very, very complicated system.
Right. So again, Canada is part of NATO, and Canada is a fantastic country which really doesn't have any borders that are against somebody that's going to attack us. Except, of course, the US if they choose to, but I don't think they would do that. So we don't have any imminent threats locally from that perspective. So the reason why we would need a Navy, Army, Air Force, etc., is so that we can be part of NATO and provide services to other nations and the world itself. Okay. We've had NATO generals that controlled the Bosnia issues there. We had people in Congo. We had people, Canadian generals who were running the things because we are considered to be a peaceful nation. In fact, Canada's military has received the Nobel Prize for Peace.
Oh wow!
Okay, so
no wonder we are very cool nation,
Yeah, so there is a dilemma. How much do we put into defense? And we don't put very much into defense compared to many other nations, but we do play a vital role in protection of people, in trying to protect the liberties of people, and it's not just the military in terms of fighting. The military has been there in the Philippines when the hurricane took place and served many, many people in terms of providing shelter, water, all sorts of logistics and things like that. So, some of our military equipment is based on that. We are doing a lot of work in protecting the seaways. Okay, so, even we have to protect our seaways in the sense that, with the 200-mile limit, foreign countries can come in and outfish everything that's in our waters, and if we don't defend it, we won't be able to do that. So there are other roles that we have to play from that point of view. Protecting the northern part of Canada, in other words, the Arctic, is a big issue. We are always having to defend it against Russian planes that are flying into that area. And why do we want that? It's the most resourceful place on the planet.
No
and
doubt.
so, we need to protect those because that's what keeps us going as a country.
So we have discussed these things. So let's come back to the family issues. How conservatives are doing for women rights, because women and children and the family institution, they are very correlated. And then with that, your promising future comes, because the next generation is the holder of the work you have done. So what are the action plans of conservatives towards
So
that?
again, one of the mainstays of the Conservative Party is to preserve and protect families. And we've done that in many ways. We believe that parents should be the ones that are deciding what's good for their children. So rather than setting up a system where the government provides it for the families, we've given money directly back into their pockets. Everybody that has children gets money into their pocket for any child that's under 17 years old. And I think that's a great idea. We're providing daycare issues, we're providing sports activities, tax rebates for that. So there's a number of things to keep the families together, because as you say, when the families are kept together, then there's opportunities to actually have a stable future for this country. So that's a key point that we need to make. In terms of women are participating in many ways, and we have many women in caucus up there. But like everything else, it's just like us as minority groups, unless people step up to it and have the should I say, the courage to step up to it, okay, then they don't get in. Right? So it's important that more women get actively involved in running for politics, in running for things, etc. And one lesser known fact is that in Kerala, it's a matriarchal society.
Oh, wow.
And it's run very well.
Oh, wow.
But
no wonder.
just
Wonder you're from Kerala, you know. Because
So-
there is always a strong woman behind a successful man, you know.
Indeed.
And always a very successful man behind a successful woman.
Absolutely,
That's also
absolutely.
the truth.
And you have lots of entrepreneurs that are women in Kerala that have started software businesses and various other things, and done very well. Yeah. So I think, again, as a party, we encourage as many women to come in, but not as many women go into politics, go into industry, because it's so disruptive to family life. Right? If you're a up-and-coming young person, unless you give up your family life, getting through the process and becoming an executive or a vice president or a president of a company, etc., can be quite difficult, and you end up having to compromise that with raising your children or doing something else like that. So, at the end of the day, it's much tougher for women than for men.
Yes, it is. It is, because they are softly emotional also more than men are.
True.
But they are more strong in certain ways because they observe so many things, absorb so many things in them. So from there, I will come back to your work with the youth, because lately I was seeing you were very much engaged with the youth action, youth plan.
Right.
So what do you think, what are the problems and where we are losing the connection of producing better professional?
So I'll give you my personal opinion. Part of the problem with the West is that we put so much pressure on having your house and your 2 cars and everything else like that, that both parents end up having to go to work. That then opens the door for young people to get into all sorts of mischief, which they shouldn't. They could get into drugs, they could get into all sorts of other things that then disrupts their future. Okay, so trying to do things that will actually help youth, find a useful purpose in life, is one way of actually making sure they don't get into trouble and that they end up contributing much better to us. I hate to go into the politics of this, but legalizing marijuana is not the way to help our youth. The marijuana from my days to nowadays is something like 25 times stronger, and numerous studies have shown that it affects the brain. And if it affects the brain, it'll affect their future. So there are things that we have to do to try and encourage young people to avoid going down those routes and make sure that they have some kind of future. And part of that is to encourage them to engage in politics. So over the past 4 years, I've had dozens of people come and spend a day or two, particularly young people, come and spend a day or two with me up in Parliament and shadow me and then figure out, wow, this isn't really what I wanted. This is, I may go into political science, but the job is a tough job, and keeping up with me was quite difficult for some of them. So the youth is important. They are the next generation. We have to encourage them. We have to make sure that they have the opportunities that some of us had.
It's never been easy to get into any professional area because it needs dedication and passion. So I was looking at your big brother and big sister achievement and work together. My daughter once, she shadowed there and they said, please come and you do. So what I really like the idea, because SOS and all those kind of things around the world, more orphanage, more poverty is going on, and a lot of people need hand. So please, a little bit.
I got involved in Big Brothers probably back in anyway, a long time ago. And he was about 10 years old and a total rebel. He had a Mohican haircut with, I think, purple or blue or something like that, and all that around him. He was destined to end up in jail by his own admission. And so we worked with him. I mean, it's not telling them what to do, but being an example to them. And he's turned out to be done incredibly well in his life, and he'll tell you that if it hadn't been for this program, he wouldn't have been there. He's now in his 30s, and he's got an excellent job at Research in Motion, or BlackBerry as it's now called. It's great. And I think mentoring people is one way of actually making sure that they actually get confidence in themselves, do things that they would never have thought they could do, and be successful. All right.
So little bit about the job plan which conservatives are giving, and which is also connected to our economic problems. Would you throw some light on that?
Sure. Again, there is a big issue with which is to do with youth employment. Okay, it shows statistically higher. Part of that reason is that the kids that are still in school, in high school, okay, who don't go and get a job at Tim Hortons or something like that, are also included in that. So the figures are a little skewed. The other thing is we have a lot of people going into engineering jobs, and you'll find that almost anybody that comes up with a technical qualification ends up getting a job. Okay, it's when people take history or archaeology or some of these other studies, okay, and really don't know where they want to go with that, that it's much tougher. One of the things that I was pushing as part of the HR committee was to get the old-fashioned British type apprenticeships, and we've kind of partly done that. We're actually funding a public-private partnership for people who want to do apprenticeships, and they get paid money to do that. So we pay the company who pays them to actually do that. For me, what was excellent for me was that we did what we call in England a sandwich course. That meant 6 months in school, 6 months working. And when you came out, I had 4 job offers because I already had 2 years of experience.
Nobody's lucky like you, You are the lucky person.
And so I picked the one that I wanted, which was Westlands, because it seemed exciting.
I hope you don't regret that.
No, I don't. I don't regret that, And the other thing is, and I speak to a lot of youth, okay, and one of the things that, and I'm going to go back to my Christian roots here, King Solomon said is, without a vision, people perish.
Yes.
And so I encourage kids or young people to actually have a vision. Where do they want to be in 5 years from now? What do they want to do with their lives, regardless of what qualification they get or anything else like that? Because most people have no idea. And I tell them, I was just at a graduation ceremony the other day, and I clearly said, if you don't know where you're going, you'll never get there. And that's so true. So with many young people, but that's because they don't get this right kind of coaching to be able to decide what they want to do. The other thing I also say to the youth is that an old Confucius saying, find something you really like to do and you'll never work a day. Because if you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to be good at what you're doing, and you'll be extremely successful.
Yes, that's so true. So from here we will move back towards the health care system, because everybody wants to be a doctor or engineer, because that is the qualification, and those were at a time considered the kind of professions where it was easy to go. And we in Canada, we are really we spend so much to make one doctor, and then when we see the immigrants when they come, and we lose them into the way. So
first, let me make a comment about that. Okay, we as immigrants always want our kids to do degrees, right? But you know, in Toronto, a plumber can make as much as a GP, right?
that's
So
true.
quite often we don't think about what the kid really wants to do, but you know, we're going to insist they do a degree. And I've spoken to many parents of all nationalities and Canadians, and they always want their kids to do a degree. The kid may not want to do it, they may not have the skills to do it, they may be much more practical and would maybe much better picking up a trade, because some of these trades now are just very, very valuable in terms of what you can achieve from that. But part of the problem here in Canada, and from the committee that I was on, it is even tougher for Canadians to move from one province to another because of the way that the country was set up back in 1867. Okay, so if you're a nurse in the eastern provinces, you can't do nursing in Ontario. Why? If you're an American nurse, you can go to any province. You know, we disadvantage ourselves with some of these things that are kind of protectionist, and I'm hoping that, you know, in the next Parliament, certainly one of the things I'd like to do was to try and make sure that you know, we try and get uniformity across the country. The chiropractors are the only ones that if you become a chiropractor in Ontario, you can go in BC and be a chiropractor. If you're an engineer here, you've got to re-register in Alberta. Not a big process, but it's just a nuisance, just red tape for the sake of red tape. And that seems, you know, that doesn't help people move to where the jobs are. So, yeah.
What I like very much about Canadian system is the school system, where public school system, we are still very good at that. If we can be able to keep it, and we will consider it more important, because I feel it helped me a lot, because the tests, they do aptitude tests and determined at that time that your child has these kind of skills and capabilities, and these are the fields where they will work. A lot of people disagree with them, but they give opinion, which is a very scientific way. So how would you like to give a conservative opinion about schools issue, education?
Well, I think we have a very good education system. We have a system that allows kids to get quite well educated from that point of view. But there's a lot we can do to actually encourage them about careers. Okay, we don't really talk to young kids about what they would like to do. Okay, one of the things I'm on is I'm on the post-secondary education caucus, and we visited some of the schools and colleges in Alberta, and one of them actually has a high school on the same site as the college. And what it does is it allows the high school students to go and try some of the courses, okay, at the college to find out whether that's what they want to do. Okay, so you know, we are getting there slowly, but I think part of it is, again, I'm not sure all the teachers know what's involved in each of the different careers, you know, even though they may sort of direct you in a particular direction. But certainly it's important, in my opinion, for I'd say kids from the teenage years, early teenage years on, to actually go in and try things, to go and see different industries, see what they do, and see what's happening there. And you know, there are some funny quirks. In my career, for example, my engineering career was probably about 3 years. Okay. Why? Because I thought I was a good engineer, so did everybody else, and they promoted me into management. I'm a useless manager. So, you know, you don't get trained for the skills you're going to. But I did go through and get some business courses under my belt to actually allow me to progress from that point of view. So when you look at a career, it's not that, you know, I'm going to be a chemist and that's all I'm going to be. But you have a lot of soft skills that you need to learn to be successful at it. You know, you need to be able to communicate with people, you need to communicate with clients, you need writing skills that allow you to put proposals and things like that together, most of which doesn't get taught even at university level. There may be one course on some management studies, but that's about it.
I really appreciate your view, but I again will request you from my side that please keep up the counseling into the schools and the career hunting, which they do, the aptitude tests. I think they are very helpful.
No, I agree, but again, you need more than that. I think you need to go into a little bit of mentoring when you decide you want to be whatever you want to be. Go and talk to somebody who's actually doing that job.
Yeah.
Right.
No, when they take aptitude tests, they determine that these are the areas of your brain because of the test. They determine that. So this is one way. Now I'm going to conclude this. How would you like to address your fellow immigrants, since you are doing so much and you are such an inspiration for so many people? What are the ways, difficulties, and how would you like them to go on this path?
Well, I mean, if I take a look at what I've achieved it because I didn't see any barriers. And so I think a lot of immigrants come here and think they're immigrants for forever. They're not. The first generation is Indo-Canadian. The second generation is Canadian-Indo. And the third generation will be completely Canadian. They won't know about our home countries, our cultures, and some of those things if we don't provide that. But this is a land of opportunity. It's an opportunity that I don't think anybody can miss. If you can get into Canada, which is always a bit of a struggle sometimes, it provides the best opportunity in the world. It's the best country in the world that I've lived in, and I think the future is rosy for us in terms of all the immigrants who have come in and been very, very successful. There's very few Indians that you see on strike or complaining or anything else like that. Very few Chinese, very few. They all come in here and they end up doing some business or working in a company and doing very well and achieving great things. And I think that achieves great things for our entire country. So starting businesses, doing all of those things are very important. And I think immigrants should not be restricted by some of the red tape that's around and should just push forward with determination.
Viewers, I hope you have enjoyed Talk by Joe Daniel. It is a really, really thought-provoking, bell-ringing points which he has given discussion and views upon. Canada is a beautiful country. It holds so much promising future for our kids. And I agree with him that it's not immigrant country alone, it's your country. The moment you come here, you have to show the belonging that you have to take care of your home. We do not live in a home just to run it and run back and forth, back and forth. We own the place, we put our part, and then we get out of it. With these views, I hope you will enjoy, you will learn, you will see how much things we can do and we have in our social system by integrating our society and our system together, hand in hand. Indeed. I thank you, our guest today, and good luck, well wishes for you for your upcoming election, and I hope you enjoyed our episode.